a broad, low-slung body covered in heavy armor, rows of rugged osteoderms embedded in the skin, thick, weight-bearing limbs supporting a powerful torso, and rising from the shoulders, long tapering spines, sharp, rigid, and unmistakably defensive. Even among early armored dinosaurs, this animal was already well protected, showing just how quickly these defenses evolved in the early Cretaceous. This is Hylaeosaurus. The name, meaning forest lizard, is a reference to the Wealden group in southern England where it was discovered. Hylaeosaurus lived approximately 140 million years ago during the early Cretaceous period. Hylaeosaurus is one of the earliest known members of the ornithischian group Ankylosauria, the armored dinosaur clade that splits into Ankylosauridae and the Nodosauridae. Hylaeosaurus is a nodosaurid, which, unlike their ankylosaurid cousins, lacked tail clubs and were instead equipped with a combination of osteoderms and prominent shoulder spikes for defense. Nodosaurids can be further distinguished from ankylosaurids by their overall build. They typically had longer limbs and narrower, more elongated skulls. Their snouts ended in a keratinous beak used for processing their herbivorous diet, a trait seen across all of the Ornithischia. Hylaeosaurus is one of the original 3 dinosaurs used by Richard Owen in 1842 to formally define Dinosauria, alongside Iguanodon and Megalosaurus. Its fossils, though fragmentary, played a crucial role in showing that these ancient reptiles formed a distinct and previously unrecognized group of animals. The early reconstructions portrayed it as a large, heavy quadruped covered in spikes, and although inaccurate in many details, they cemented Hylaeosaurus as a foundational species in the history of paleontology. Because the original specimen is so important historically, modern scientists have revisited it multiple times. But the block is fragile and much of the anatomy remains partially concealed. Even with these limitations, enough is preserved to give researchers a surprisingly solid picture of its appearance, and Hylaeosaurus continues to play a central role in understanding the early evolution of armored dinosaurs, showing that nodosaurids were already well developed early in the Cretaceous. Hylaeosaurus was a medium-sized armored herbivore, likely reaching around 5 meters in length. Its limbs suggest a fully quadrupedal stance with a broad body suited for a low browsing lifestyle. The defining feature of Hylaeosaurus was its array of elongated spines along its shoulders, lightly angled outward as a deterrent against predation. Its body was also covered in an array of osteoderms, small, roughened plates arranged in rows down the length of its body and tail, forming a protective shield. Hylaeosaurus lived in a warm, humid, forested environment in what is now southern England, a region that, at the time, featured coastal floodplains and river channels. The vegetation included ferns, cycads, early conifers, and the first appearances of flowering plants. Like other early ankylosaurs, Hylaeosaurus likely browsed on low vegetation, using its narrow beak to clip plants close to the ground. Direct behavioral evidence is lacking, but based on close relatives, Hylaeosaurus may have relied on static defense rather than speed, standing its ground, angling its shoulder spikes toward attackers, and using its armor as a deterrent. There is no evidence that it lived in large herds, though nodosaur relatives suggest it may have shared habitat in loose groups or assemblages. Hylaeosaurus is both historically significant and biologically intriguing, an early nodosaurid with distinctive shoulder spines living in the dense forests of Cretaceous England and forming part of the foundation of the very concept of dinosaurs. Even from fragmentary remains, the picture that emerges is of a heavily armored herbivore with specialized defenses, and it remains both a scientific landmark and a vital piece of our understanding of how armored dinosaurs first emerged and adapted in the early Cretaceous.
Hey everyone, if you're as passionate about dinosaurs as I am, consider checking out my Patreon at patreon.com/totaldino.
When you join, you'll be able to request your favorite dinosaur to be featured, and it'll be up on social media within a few days. You'll also get exclusive previews of upcoming content, dinosaurs, and art not yet posted anywhere else on the internet. I really appreciate the support, and again, that's patreon.com/totaldino.